As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
I felt incredibly defeated because I felt like the first 4 years of his presidency were so catastrophically horrible. Like, not just for trans people, like just for everyone. Like the the national debt increased the most during that first term than it has in any presidency, I'm pretty sure, and like a whole bunch of statistics like that. And I mean, like, look at the price of things nowadays, and with tariffs and etc., it's just going to keep climbing.
The golden age of America begins right now.
If you vote for Trump, that's it. I'm done here. And then I did not hear from them for 8 months leading up to the election. 8 months. I never texted them, they never texted me, nothing. And then a week after the election, they texted me, Happy Veterans Day. And I texted back, go fuck yourself. Never expect to hear from me again.
Rights are not secure. They're not something you get once and you have forever, and that applies to everyone. You are given rights by whatever powers that be. With this project, you know, is like show that things are very important right now, and we have to kind of see it in its full importance and not just think it'll go away in 4 years.
The immediate fallout of it was like, there was the talk of like the VA and what was going to be covered, what wasn't, and while there is still some uncertainty there and some bureaucratic and like what's taking, you know, like, so whether they're going to be covering HRT or any gender affirming care in the future, I just decided in November, I was like, I'm not going to stress, I'm not going to worry about this. And when he, you know, the election happened, I was just like, okay, I think maybe it's best I just go somewhere else, so that I don't have to worry about losing access to gender affirming care at any moment.
I was in the process of legally changing my name and gender marker when the inauguration happened, and I since have had to like cancel that petition and stop that process, so I don't put myself in a place of having conflicting documents. After 28 days of anxious waiting, just 5 days before it will finalize, I dismissed my legal name and gender change petition. By dismissing my petition, snuffing my labels when they are barely a legal flicker, I disappear myself. It is not the first time. It appears that I, like my country, exist on a 4-year cycle. Imminent demise, reinvention, imminent demise. The court visit brings me back to my hometown. I spend the full weekend there, staying in my childhood bedroom in its partial pillaged state. When I left, I took the necessities. Now, only dated decorations and old collections remain, dotted by a nick or a knack.
I kind of recently have started feeling very euphoric about being androgynous and looking androgynous, kind of not fitting either of the molds, and you know, being a bit confusing when people look at me, which, you know, it's a change of perspective, because instead of feeling really ashamed when people misgender me, it kind of makes it like a joke on them or something. Just walking home, I looked at my door knocker, which is a very androgynous Grecian bust, and I said, wow, it's wonderful that I can't know if this is male or female. Like, that's great. Like, that's awesome.
Showing up for us is not an easy thing to do as an ally. You can talk the talk all you want, but when push comes to shove, I have seen so many cis people near, around me, whatever, say they got my back, and the second it comes to actually doing something, when something needs to come up, somebody's talking crazy at the vet center, somebody's misgendering me or somebody else, all of a sudden it's crickets.
Last thing we need is to ignore what's going on, and cis people definitely have to rally together with trans people. I think a lot of cis people who are allies kind of leave the political side of it to trans people. and don't do enough protesting or advocating or standing up for trans people, or even just educating themselves.
This past weekend, I was spending some time here. My partner had come over, and two of our friends, who are both also trans, had come over here, and we spent the entire weekend together. And it was like I didn't really interact with anyone else for that entire weekend. And so it was like I was just around people who I didn't have to worry about or like think about explaining anything to, because everyone in the room was trans, whether it's trans masc, trans femme, gender fluid, whatever. So there was like that base level of understanding.
I have a really close group of friends, and we've done a lot recently. And one of them was asking about my body language, and they were basically like, "You seem so comfortable and relaxed around us." And I kind of realized like they're right. Like I feel like when I'm out by myself, a lot of times I get in my own head about stuff and get a little anxious. But when I'm with them, like I don't have a care in the world, and it's really nice.
I was out with my friends, most of whom are trans. And so it's like we went to the county fair, and it was like, very crowded, full of people. I had become very, I guess, like agoraphobic at this point and kind of scared of crowds. It made me feel very normal to be with my group. And then I did get like misgendered by one of the people at one of the stands. It's like trying to get me to play skee ball or something. And with my friends, like we could kind of make fun of it and move on, and it didn't have to be like anything terrible.
But we've always been here. It's pushing gender norms. It's making people really think. I think is the biggest thing, and I think that's why people are scared of it, is because they're so wrapped up in nonsensical gender norm patriarchal bullshit that like a trans person just shows up and it's like, hey, I'm just living my best life, and they're like, wait, I don't like that. I'm confused. I really do think that's where a lot of the transphobia stems from, but I think make that sit with people and realize how ridiculous the patriarchy is, and just how what's going on right now is the last hoorah of the old era trying to stop what's coming, and they are not going to win. And I'm very hopeful of that, and I really do think that's the case.
That people are fluid. That brings me hope. Is that this is sadly, MAGA is sadly a huge ideological movement that is sweeping the nation right now. But ideological movements pass. Especially fascist ideological movements, because fascism eats itself away until it crumbles. Because in a system where you constantly need something to point at and be like, this is the problem, you're gonna run out of things to point at as the problem. Let's say they get rid of trans people. I don't know how, but they get rid of trans people. They get rid of immigrants. They get rid of unhoused people. Then they get rid of lower class people, and then they get rid of middle class people. And then it's like it always needs a scapegoat. Without it, you can't have fascism.